Hello, welcome to Eye on Africa here on France 24. I'm Rochelle Harrison-Pless. Good to have you with us. Coming up, Senegalese politician Khalifa Sall is slapped with a 5-year prison sentence after being found guilty of fraud. The conviction barring the Mayor of Dakar from next year's elections, shattering his dreams of running for president. Plus, a special report from our correspondents as they follow Somali police in the city of Bossaso. Security patrols have been stepped up and terror suspects rounded up following a spate of attacks. And in Kenya, we take a closer look at the increasing stress and strain on the environment amid the country's burgeoning growth and thriving industry. First up, 5 years behind bars, Senegalese politician Khalifa Sall was handed the jail term after being found guilty of fraud. The mayor of the country's capital, Dakar, is accused of embezzling $3.4 million. The conviction prevents him from running in next year's presidential elections, during which he was expected to pose a strong challenge to President Macky Sall. Well, our Dakar correspondent Chika Ojua has more details.
This is a high-profile political corruption case. The people here in Dakar are watching very closely. They're reading the newspapers, they're watching it on their television screens. Khalifa Sall denies that he embezzled more than $3 million between 2011 and 2015. Khalifa Sall is seen as the biggest rival to President Macky Sall in 2019. And this verdict, which would sentence him to 5 years in prison, would effectively bar him from running next year. His lawyers say that they intend to appeal. Let's remember that Khalifa Sall is incredibly popular, especially here in Dakar, where he has served as the mayor since 2009. He began his political activism when he was 11 years old, so he has built a very large, a very strong support base, especially at the grassroots level. And it is the people at the grassroots level who feel as though their mayor is being taken away from them. They feel as though President Macky Sall is simply threatened by Khalifa Sall, and they believe that Khalifa Sall is being victimized by the political elite. Here's what some people here in Dakar had to say.
We are not going to let this trial win, and we are going to defend valiantly. We are going to fight.
We have to start with Khalifa Sall and all the others, and all those who've misappropriated public funds.
It's to stop him from getting elected, to strip him of his rights. But it's a lost cause because we are behind him.
The people of Senegal are very politically conscious and politically active. Peaceful rallies are common here. So it is likely that by next week we can expect to see people gathering on the streets in support of Khalifa Sall.
Voters in Sierra Leone will go back to the ballot boxes on Saturday for a presidential runoff between the ruling APC party Samura Camara and opposition rival Julius Maada Bio from the SLPP. The vote was delayed amid an APC-backed court case alleging electoral fraud during the first round, taking tensions up a notch during an already bruising campaign. However, both sides have called for calm as the country gears up to return to the polls. Next, cracking down on terror suspects and beefing up security patrols. Somali authorities are taking action in the wake of a string of armed attacks in and around Bossaso, the commercial capital of the country's Puntland region. While the local branch of Al-Qaeda, Al-Shabaab, has claimed responsibility, there are fears over the growing influence of the Islamic State group. France 24 reporters Duncan Woodside and Thijs Broek report from Bossaso, where they were embedded with the local police.
Bossaso, Puntland's commercial capital. The port city has been hit by a string of armed attacks over the last year. The police are anxious to show us that they have the situation under control.
As you can see, all the shops are operating and everyone is working.
Somalia's Al-Qaeda affiliate Al-Shabaab is the biggest threat here, with suspected members of this group rounded up during our stay. The Islamic State group has a small but growing presence, mainly in mountains to the east. The police admit it's sometimes hard to keep track of suspects.
When a city is expanding and new people are arriving and going, there are always threats to monitor. You have to make sure the security is tight.
The militant groups have generally targeted the security forces and officials, but haven't launched the kind of complex bomb attacks that have claimed heavy civilian death tolls in Mogadishu.
It's all good here. We're having no real issues. The police are okay, and the government is paying good attention to this area.
Military pressure on al-Shabaab in southern Somalia may force more of its fighters to seek sanctuary in Puntland.
We've started searching houses, so we started a different approach, one involving working day and night.
Authorities here also say they're sharing more intelligence with Somalia's federal government to help guard against mass casualty bombings.
More jobs, new revenue streams and a rising GDP. Kenya is reaping the benefits from soaring development and industrialisation. But the country is also grappling with the downsides of this. Cars and factories spew enormous amounts of pollution, while waste disposal and energy infrastructure are under increasing strain. And all of that is putting the Kenyan environment at risk. This report from our Nairobi correspondents Julia Steers and Bastien Renouy.
Philisters runs a small hair salon in a low-income neighborhood in Nairobi. The public toilets next door also belong to her. They're her part of an effort to clean up the area. Most here lack at-home plumbing and pay a small fee to use these.
Our community loves my toilets because they do not pollute, and here they can use soap and paper.
A company collects the waste every day in order to transfer and deposit it at a plant about an hour outside of Nairobi. Here, 6,000 tons of human waste are processed into fertilizer, animal feed, or energy.
So our goal is really to clean up communities. So the biogas project is really to produce clean energy, as opposed to using electricity and a generator.
Treating human waste like this offers energy and environmental benefits. The venture reflects a growing awareness of the need for new approaches. The turn toward greener energy solutions also led Nairobi's Kenyatta University to set up a solar power plant last December.
We do use them for the purpose of teaching, and they're also generating power for us in the campus. We are looking forward to having now a bigger plant which will supply power to the whole university.
As Kenya's cities face waste and energy challenges, the government is slowly taking matters into its own hands.
It's not too late. We think that there is still time to do that. I mean, we are not as highly industrialized as some of the developed nations. So if we are talking, we can have action within the next 1 or 2 years.
The government is working toward making geothermal energy the country's primary electricity source, an ambition that has far-reaching implications for a population expected to increase by 40% by 2030.
And finally, a beauty queen in Zimbabwe is using her crown to challenge stereotypes. 22-year-old student Sitimbiso Mutukura won the title Miss Albinism 2018 after the pageant held its first edition in the capital, Harare, earlier this month. Mutukura says she wants to use her victory to fight the stigma surrounding her condition, which affects around 1 in every 15,000 people in sub-Saharan Africa. Ellen Gainsford has more.
With a hug and a smile, Sitimbiso Mutukura accepts her tiara with grace. But this beauty queen has had to fight for acceptance. She's faced discrimination all her life due to her albinism, a congenital disorder characterized by lack of pigmentation in the skin, hair and eyes. Now she's determined to change people's perceptions of the condition.
My main mission or reason why I entered into this pageant was to raise awareness due to stigma associated with people with albinism mainly.
In many sub-Saharan African countries, albinos' body parts are believed to bring wealth and good luck and are prized for their use in charms and magical potions. According to the Red Cross, witch doctors are willing to pay as much as $75,000 for a full set of albino limbs, leaving many albinos vulnerable to violence. More than 600 attacks against albinos have taken place in 26 African countries since 2007. Sitembiso plans to use her new role to influence authorities, urging them to help end the discrimination and brutality many albinos face.
You're up to date here on Eye on Africa. More news coming up. Don't go away.